not in the.
Okay, but you cannot hear me? Or?
Yes, we hear you and we see your presentation. See you.
Okay.
Now, Andreas Trügler from the University of Technology in Graz. Please, Andreas.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the invitation, and I'm very glad to be able to join here. It was also on short notice for me because I was away, and yeah, I'm glad I could make it. I'll keep it brief today. I think lunch is approaching, but I'll talk about merging quantum and classical cryptography today. And my background is actually in theoretical nanophysics. So I've been working with plasmon tomography and excitation of elementary particles and quasi-particles in nanostructures, and also in quantum plasmonics, so to say. And then I switched a bit my field of research, actually. I went into privacy and cryptography, and I'm now coming back to quantum information and trying to merge these different fields. So at the moment I'm working, my current focus is privacy encryption, so classical encryption and also quantum information. And I will tell you a little bit about what we are doing there. So together with my colleague Christian Rechberger, I'm leading the data security and data privacy research area of No Center, which is a spin-off of the Technical University, and where our main working horse is again classical cryptography, and where we now started to merge it also with quantum approaches. And we this is strongly linked with the Cryptography Institute at the Technical University. The institute is called IAIK, the Institute of Applied Information Processing and Computing. It's the largest cybersecurity institute in Austria, with a very long history and a very good track record. And so we're working on protecting data and ensuring confidentiality, and we are especially also merging this with artificial intelligence and machine learning approaches. And a very huge focus is also quantum safe cryptography, so cryptographic approaches that cannot be broken by quantum computers, or should not be able to be broken with quantum computers. And so we also work on this kind of long-term secure methods and applications. And so, but especially with regards to quantum information and quantum computing, we have started looking into this kind of hybrid quantum algorithms, so hybrid quantum machine learning algorithms. We are working on new protocols for privacy preserving analytics. The idea here is that at the moment, it looks like that we will have quantum computing in the cloud somewhere, where the hardware is standing in the United States, for example, or somewhere else abroad. And if you want to use this hardware like it is now with IBM, you have to send your data and your algorithms to IBM. But like you cannot protect your properties, so to say. And this, I mean, during research, that's not that maybe not the first thing you think of, but especially when you there's a new quantum computer in Europe, for example, that has been activated just recently, and where the main focus should be medical research and cancer research. And especially when you start like working with this kind of sensitive data, then also data protection becomes important, of course. And what we also do, and we also so we have a first publication here where we are leveraging the error rates and the decoherence of NISQ hardware for so-called side channel attacks. I will also come back to that on the later slides to explain what we did there. I will just give you two examples of methods that come from classical cryptography, and that where I want to highlight how they are linked to the quantum world and how we try to link them, actually. And the first one is called homomorphic encryption. It's one of the big breakthroughs in classical cryptography. It's which allows you to do calculations of the data. So just suppose you have these two numbers and you encrypt them, then you get this kind of gibberish expressions. And in the past, it was always like this. You can now store this encrypted data somewhere, or maybe transport it from A to B. But if you want to do some calculations with it, you always have to decrypt it. And with homomorphic encryption, you can actually do the calculations with the encrypted data, get an encrypted result, and only the original data owner can decrypt the result. And so you can do all kinds of calculations there. And again, this is one of the big breakthroughs in classical cryptography. And it's also linked to the quantum world, because the problems, or like the mathematical problems that are behind this homomorphic encryption, are high-dimensional lattice problems. And there was an ongoing competition now for 6 years at the American NIST Institute to find a new generation of algorithms that are secure under the threat of quantum computers, so to say. That this is what I mentioned here as post-quantum cryptography. And now the results, or like the final outcome, has been presented. And luckily also one of the submissions that are from my colleague Christian Rechberger and my colleagues is among the final safe algorithms. And the methods behind the also are these kind of lattice problems that are behind homomorphic encryption. So these kind of lattice problems that are used here, they are regarded as very safe under the threat of the computer. And the second that I want to show is multi-party computation. Here the idea is you have a couple of parties, let's say D3, all of them have some kind of data and they want to compute something together, but they don't want to share their data. And there are different ways of doing that. One simple example is that you create so-called secret shares. So you have your data and you create 3 parts of this data randomly. So each party does this, and then you share 2 parts of your data with the other parties. So for example, party A sends A1 and A2 to party C and party B and receives other shares. And so you distribute this kind of shares, but you're keeping 1 share for you. So in the end, each party has 3 shares. And for example, if party B and C tries to collude and combines their data, they can still not recover the original data because they're missing this part. And then they all do some calculation with this data, and then you combine it later. And I want to skip the details, but in the end, you can calculate a function together with all of the input data without actually sharing the data and without the possibility for the other parties to share that. And what makes these protocols secure is typically computational hardness. So you have some kind of a mathematical problem that's hard to solve. And for these multiparty computation protocols, it's often oblivious transfer. And the idea is also very simple. Here you have Eminota, she has 2 messages, and here you have Richard, and he wants to receive one of these 2 messages, M0 or M1, and he chooses this with this parameter B. So B is either 0 or 1, and then he receives this message, but Emmy should not learn what kind of these 2 messages have been received by Richard. And we've started with a very simple, just 2-party protocol, where the only assumption that you need that this protocol is secure is that you have a secure version of this kind of oblivious transfer. And in classical cryptography, again, there are different ways of creating this oblivious transfer. One is called that based on this Diffie-Hellman key exchange, where also the details are not that important. It's just the computational problem in the end is that you need to solve the discrete logarithm in a cyclic group. And this is, again, computational very hard, and this makes this process secure. And what we wanted to do is to replace this computational hardness actually with laws of physics. So we want to replace this part in the classical protocol with a quantum experiment and create this oblivious transfer based on the outcome of quantum measurements. And by that, we want to merge these two fields so that we have, on one hand, secure algorithms where where the security does not rely anymore on computational hardness, but on laws of physics. And on the other hand, with these kind of protocols, you can then do more than just exchange a key. You can really do elaborate calculations that based on this protocol. So you can use like you open the door towards the protocols of classical cryptography, and everything is powered by quantum, so to say, if you want. And this is, we just started with this, so this is ongoing work. We're collaborating here with our colleagues from Vienna, from ICOCI. I think some of you might have heard of the first talk from Markus Huber yesterday. And so we are collaborating with his group here, and where we basically, you can create this kind of quantum oblivious transfer with a so-called quantum bit commitment protocol. Where you need some assumptions, but basically, so it's possible to really do an experiment and create this oblivious transfer out of a quantum experiment. And we at the moment working on combining this with this classical algorithm. And the second example that I quickly want to show is a side channel attack on quantum computers. So side channel attacks, this is very common also in classical cryptography. The idea is that you don't attack the algorithm or the protocol directly, but you use information that is around. For example, you measure the power, you do a power analysis of the electromagnetic power consumption of a chip where some protocol is running, and so on. So you can use any kind of information that evolves around something like that. And so, being inspired by these approaches in classical cryptography, we tried to leverage actually the error rates and the decoherence of quantum computers to reconstruct what somebody has been calculating before us on, for example, on a quantum computer from IBM. And I think these links here are also very nicely linked to the talks that we just heard, especially the one from Philip, I think. And what we did here is actually very, very simple in the end. So we also used the quantum computers from IBM, and we used some kind of probe to just read out the error rates. And we used here just the publicly available 5-qubit machines. So we have 32 possibilities in the end from this measurement, and we depicted it as this kind of histogram. And the only thing that we need is that we leverage that we can choose the position, or that we need to have two positions in the job queue. So we need to probe the error rates at one point, then somebody does a calculation, and then we probe the error rates again. And by recognizing what has changed now in the error rates, we can reconstruct what has been calculated in the middle, so to say. So at the moment, it's just a proof of concept, and we are also in contact with IBM here to close this not really a security hole, but just to we want to understand the hardware better, and we were just also like highlighting to IBM that this could become a problem at some point. The things that we can reconstruct at the moment are very simple. So we just for our submission that is going to presented at this IEEE conference in autumn in Colorado, we just used three different circuits, A, B, and none, and we used a neural network. So like we could also do this with other methods, but just a convenient method to classify now what has been used, or like what was in between here. Was it A, B, or did nothing happen? And this worked out fine. And at least for simple examples, we were able to reconstruct this, that what happened here in between. And there is a lot of room for improvement. And this is just, as I said, the first simple and easy step that we did there. And with that, I'm already coming to an end. I was not sure about the time, but I tried to keep it short. So this is a bit, again, a list of the topics that we are working on at the moment, or that we want to work on in the future. So I'm especially interested in this connection between privacy and noise, noise that you have in quantum systems. And in classical cryptography, noise is typically what is guaranteeing security and privacy. So in all these classical cryptography algorithms, you use randomness and noise to make this protocol secure. And the idea from us was to leverage the natural noise that you have in these quantum systems, especially in the NISQ era hardware, also for privacy. Then a huge part of our work is this quantum safe or post-quantum cryptography. And we're working now also on these secure algorithms for quantum computation. And in general, we also started with quantum algorithms. So we have some implementations for these annealers, where we also do some binary function search and also some machine learning algorithms, where we try to combine the knowledge that we have in machine learning also with quantum ideas. And that's it already. So here's the cryptography and privacy group. And yeah, thank you very much for your attention. And if you have any questions, I'm very happy to answer them, of course.
Thank you, Andreas, for your concise and informative talk. Questions? Danilo Yakimenko, please.
Yes, thank you for your talk. I have a question. I thought that quantum bit commitment is actually theoretically impossible in some pure conditions. So you must be some additional assumption.
Exactly. So I have it on the slide. I didn't mention it, but that's right. So for quantum bit commitment, the pure version of quantum bit commitment is not enough. There is this paper that shows that this is not secure then, and you need additional assumptions. And there are different ways what we can do. You can assume this kind of bounded quantum storage model, or you can use relativistic restrictions. There's also this noisy memory approach. And for all, so we choose something where you need one additional assumption. In the end, we just introduce some waiting time in the protocol that should eliminate possible quantum memory effects, and with that you get a secure version of quantum bit commitment. But it's absolutely true. So that the pure version of bit commitment is not secure, and you need an additional assumption. That's right.
Oh yes, thank you.
Mm-hmm. And maybe just to highlight this again, the idea. So this is also here a first step, and what we want to do in general is to also find new ways and proper ways to replace these computational hardness problems by it doesn't have to be bit commitment, but in the end just with these kind of quantum approaches and quantum experiments.
Thank you. More questions? Then thanks, Andreas, a lot for the talk, for the explanations. Thanks to all the speakers of this session 3. Let me close now this session, and we continue at 14 Kyiv time, which is 34 minutes from now.